Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 24 of Rannoch, our vanilla CS Boreal build. Hope you're having a wonderful day. We're going to start today's episode off with a fun little time-lapse as we terraform out, of course, what is going to be a runway pier for the airport that we're going to build today. And we're going to build it over here, right by where we did our big arterial bundle last episode. And by the way, every time I load into the map now, I always do a little swoop onto this bridge. So I'm so happy with it. There's something just so much fun about layered networks, isn't there? Passing over networks as it swings back around. I really love what we did here last episode. But either way, today it's time for an airport build, which is going to be named after our longest standing patron, Josh. Thank you so much for all your support, mate. And we now have the through regional airport, so thank you for that insane, long-standing and seemingly never-ending support, buddy. I really appreciate you. So last episode in the road network frame prep, we left this little industrial road here, which I think is where I'm going to bring up my terminal. So from here, what's this one so far? 16 units, so that would be 20. Let's go up to 30 units, I think. So let's get all this mapped out. Let's come into our airport regions, and first of all, we're going to want to grab our terminals. So I think likely I'm probably going to use the classic 2-story terminal. And I'm going to place one there. I just want to get a general positioning, of course, as always, with key infrastructure like this. I want to make sure it's nice and visible from the airport here, well, the road here. So I think I could possibly even go for 2 of these terminals, I think, as the general terminal configuration. So with that in mind, let's just go ahead and reconfigure our holding frames. So I want to draw out 5 units this side, and 5 units this side. And then just making sure we're snapping to the 90-degree angle in both aspects. Everyone's nice and aligned. We can delete these holding roads now, and I begin to configure something a bit more custom. So let's come into our one-way roads. We do have this road already, don't we? Yeah, it's the one-way bus roads that are on the terminals, so we can just use them. We'll likely have some buses coming over here at some point, although our main focus on transport for the airport today is the rail and the metro. So that should be fun. But that should be okay, and if we need more land, we can always terraform back out into the strait, of course. You can see the tidal wave still going out across the strait from that first wave of terraforming. Even Teddy's Virgin Diamond is flooding. Actually, thoroughly submerged even. It's not a good time to be driving on that interchange. The flood trucks will get over there at some point, I'm sure. But wonderful. That's going to give us positioning for our terminals. So the next thing I want to do, of course, which is the biggest thing, is to actually draw in the runways, because they're the biggest things. So I'm going to draw out another road guideline again here as well, because I want to be snapped onto this angle. And then let's go for Touchmore Airport area. Push that right up to the end of the peninsula. And any time I build an airport near water, there's always runway piers. I just cannot help myself. Absolutely love them. Cool. So let's have this go in. So off camera, I have actually done a test flight, if you like, to find out that the planes in Rannoch, they want to take off this way, which is why I am aligning my runway to be that direction, essentially. Cool. So I think with it being a regional airport, we will only go with the one runway. In terms of the international complex, probably going to go over here, I think, with the through national metro line coming through it, and also some kind of other metro convergence from the currently non-existent downtown. But I think for this one, we're just going to stick with the one runway. It should be fair enough for a regional airport, I think. As once the runway's in, I'm going to leave 10 tiles between the runway and the taxiways, and we're going to give them their very basic configuration, of course. We want them to enter the runway here and leave it this way. Remember, if it's facing this way, they will arrive here and just take off straight away, which looks ridiculous, of course. So that should be alright, I think. I think I'll be happy with that. So now we have the runway in, let's have a look at configuring the terminal. I'd like it to come down here. Now we could even do... No, I don't want to do a fourth one. It's going to start getting too big. I always suffer this problem with a regional airport. My scope always begins to outgrow the project. Keep it small, keep it tasteful. So we can come out on an angle pretty much to here, which I think is what we'll do. And then with this one here, we're going to bring this one out. Now, we need to bring in our 2 stations, which again, we don't unlock for a little bit yet, do we? Where are they? They're here somewhere. Yeah, so it is level 3 for the airport stop, which is fine. We can get Metro at level 2 though, which is fine. So we'll plug them into a terminal configuration around here, but at least let's get the airport leveling up for right now. So we'll have our small aircraft stands, let's say here, just off the back of the main terminal. We'll do 1. I want to keep them as close together as we can. And then we'll do 4 over here. So now let's bring in our taxiway configurations. We want everyone pretty much heading back this way. It's likely we'll have some smaller stands here. So we can bring those across. Road guideline snappings are a godsend here, so use them where you can. We'll have that on in there. And then in terms of how we are going to exit here, we can probably just run off of this one, but this is going to change as new aircraft stands get brought into the airport. But right now, that'll give us a functioning airfield. And we just need to wait for passenger counts and attractiveness score to come up, which is okay. Which we'll do that as well in a second. So let's bring our configuration at the front up here together. I think I'd quite happily have this as kind of a main way in, but then send the passengers leaving out another entrance. I'm going to come out by 10 on both layers. And then let's get a curve here. I'd like to do 10 curve. Come down to 3 meters. Then how about we just go straight down into the couplet there, I think. With this one, let's do 8 meters, match the curve here. That'll keep everyone nice and tight. And I think with the bottom layer, I'll actually want to feed these back into this entrance. We could do something like that, although we'd need to save a few extra tiles. But I think I'll actually loop this one back around this entrance, so let's have it come out this way. And then we'll just get a curve here, so we'll curve by 6. Make it all nice and symmetrical, makes these airport roads look a lot more pleasing. There we go. Just feed that one off there, no problem at all. Plenty of space in the middle for hotels and other forms of detail and whatnot. So we might need to move our station market over for a hot second. And then I want to do same again with this one. I'm actually going to match the road to the guideline of the concourse. There we go. See our plane's leaving now too. Come on, please do what you did in the test. Yes, there we go. We're all flying off in a sensible direction now. Well, as I say it, it jinxes. But for the most part, they take a nice, sensible flight path up until they get to the sky at least. So I'll be happy enough with that, I think. So with this one, I actually want to save myself room along the top here, don't I? So it's going to 9 meters. Curve that into the top. And then similarly with the bottom one, let's just bring this down on a slightly shorter trajectory. And then there we go. You can get some really interesting configurations with all these stands pieced together. But I think for a general airport frontage, be happy with that. Trim off a little section here, and we should have some nice parallel elevated networks actually running alongside here, which would be quite fun. And then with this one here, I'd like to bring off essentially just a little slip plane. Something that looks fairly sensible, something like that. And then let's bring this elevation up. Again, we'll do a section of 12 and 6 meter elevation. And hopefully, if the game doesn't want to be a pain, we can curve around and hook in like that, giving us some pretty nice tight curves around the airport terminal configuration, which I'm quite happy with, to be honest. Thinking if we're actually going to have a metro stop as part of the airport, it probably makes this one here a little bit redundant, but we'll just wait and see as to how far this metro ends up travelling to meet up with. Oh my word, our part of the city is flooding. Oh, that tidal wave went real far, didn't it? Sorry Tech Hub. You guys should be alright. Let's see if it's crossing the road. It's going into the recently expanded Boone Heights. Tragic news. Does seem to be receding though. Hopefully everyone over there will be okay. How fantastic is this looking though? Something so awesome about a runway pair, isn't there? Really, really like them. So these guys are, of course, complaining of trash, but that will get picked up at some point. So we need to bring up our attractiveness score, so let's come back into our airport and see what we can do to help with this. So initially we have hotels, which I'd like to bring in as well. Now I'm thinking I'd like to have some hotels along this road here. Due to a recent trip to Heathrow, I realised, I know Heathrow's a major international complex, but regardless, the inspiration is still there. But of how many hotels there actually are by an airport that size, I severely underplace them, if anything, in CS. So I'd like to have some airports along the main road here, I think, which I think would be quite nice. I wouldn't mind just 2 there, I think should be okay. We'll make that part of the airport complex as well, so it contributes to the attractiveness score. I don't mind that at all. We've also got some small hangars here that we can place in as a bit of kind of airfield admin, I think. So why don't we focus on this little space out the middle here. So let's have a taxiway. We'll use this spot here to configure a bit of a hangar complex, I suppose. So we'll have that on there, cut that through. And then we can we'll do 3 hangars around this way. And then that just so happens to be the absolute perfect depth to sit and fit. Well, it would have been. Of course. No, it's not. Just my luck. Fantastic. I really do think they should have removed collision from these assets, but it's fine. We can make do with it. Switch up our plane as well. Let's have 1, 2. And let's have another one tucked in here. Why not? Then, of course, time for the best asset ever made in the area it's supposed to be used. Yeah, for apron. Wonderful. Wonderful news. So I think I'd rather have this kind of like chiseled out concrete spaces as opposed to having it all concrete, I think. Maybe a little bit more angular here. Otherwise, I'll be happy with that. How's that doing us for our attractiveness? Wonderful, well over it. So now we just have to wait for the passengers, and then that'll get us to level 2, which unlocks us the medium aircraft stands. And then I also want to use the metro station as well, hooked straight into the terminals, and then we can decide whether or not we need this stop here. But I guess we'll see regardless. So I will see you in around 500 passengers time. And here we have arrived at level 2, which is wonderful news. The first thing I want to pay attention to is, of course, the elevated airport metro train station. Now, we also need to remember that the train's on the ground, isn't it? I had forgotten about that. It's fine. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That's a level 3 egg problem. So just pushing out my airport area a little bit more here. I'd like to configure some more terminals. So let's drag this out. So I want the airfield to end about here, I think. I think that should be a decent size, shouldn't it? I don't really want it getting much bigger than that for a regional airport. That should give us enough room, I think, for medium aircraft stands, which is as big as I want to take this this terminal. But before that, I want to use the concourses to frame the metro station. So essentially here, let's get it as close in as we can. Seems to be about there, doesn't it? That's okay. It's going to give some slightly different depth and colour to the actual terminal concourse itself. So let's give this a line now. I'm pretty sure, not that I'm one for being sensible with placing public transport stops, but that the stop outside the airport essentially becomes redundant with this one coming in now. So let's do this perfectly measured. Let's have... just delete that for a second. Let's do a 10 curve. This way it'll match the curve of the roads here as well, adding to further wonderful symmetry. And then if we were just to come around here, what's that going to be? 6. Let's do a 6 curve here. And then we can just go across like that. There is a slight raise there as it goes up to 12 meters. Just tell you what we will do in that instance then, is actually just raise up this curve to 12 meters as well. There we go. That should make it a bit more pleasing on the eye. Fantastic. So let's get that in. This is an incredibly exciting moment. I'm actually really interested to see as well what having this metro line, of course, which goes all the way through here, just how much busier it's going to make that now it's hooked into an airport at one end. So I think I will leave the stops in here for right now. I guess it'd be nice to have a stop on this line over this side that's not part of the airport, so maybe we could leave it in. They are very close though. All that. Hello people. All the tourists are coming out. I bet they will walk into the metro, aren't they? I bet they are. Yeah, they are. Look at that. So everyone leaving the airport. It's, what, 1, 2 pocket cars there? So they want to use the metro. they cannot wait. What's the threshold for level 3? 1,000 attractiveness. Holy smokes. Okay, we might struggle to get that actually. We might have to spam some assets to get around it, but we'll see. Cool. So they're all using that. Hopefully, as time goes on, they'll start using this as well. So my plan here is to have the airport train station essentially sat right next door, and then frame them with concourses. But that's going to be a level 3 job regardless. Let's go ahead and get our new medium aircraft stands in. Start bringing more passengers in. So did we unlock the airport lounge? We did indeed. Okay, so I think I'll have a few airport lounges here. Let's have 1, 2. Oh, and that third one's just going to sit and fit, isn't it? It is indeed. Fantastic. And then we'll grab ourselves some medium stands. Try and roughly line that up in the middle there. Let's do 1, 2, and 3. And would it be rude to possibly squeeze in a 4th? We might need to extend our airport area a little bit, which I'm okay with. We do have the land to reclaim from the strait, so it will work. Let's bring that out 1 more, and then we'll have this one in there. Cool. So that'll be the final configuration for our stands. Let's go ahead and wire these into the configuration we need them to be. Cool. So that'll hook everyone in quite nicely. Actually, of course, we're going to key off all this land during our time lapse today. We won't just leave it so jagged and awful. That's wonderful. What else did we unlock? We did get some of the larger hotels, didn't we? Yeah, we got the deluxe here. And we also got the airport refueling station as well, which I wouldn't mind having directly in the middle of the airfield here, actually. We can pin these together. Grab ourselves an apron as well. And then let's just tidy up the edge here. Do that. Cool. Something to that effect I think will be fine. Let's go ahead and grab some more part planes as well. I think we got the medium ones, didn't we? We did indeed. So I think we'll just have medium parked plane there. And then again, we'll just apron that off, leaving some grass in there as well. So let's focus on bringing some more hotels out the front. Now, alongside using the airport hotels themselves, I would also like to have hotels, DLC hotels in here as well. So I think I'll also fancy a larger deluxe hotel on the inner ring there. Could also maybe bring one here. No, it's just a bit too deep against the metro line, isn't it? Which is fine. Okay, would we want one in the couplet? It's not usually an item I would use here, but let's give it a go. It basically sits and fits perfectly in the middle. It will mean we need to bring the tram line up at some point, because of course the tram does come through here. Now I don't hate it there. I think it's quite a nice kind of landmark for the couplet to flow around, I think. But I think instead of having the tram move onto the couplet, I think we might actually feed it down this road instead. And have it come outside the terminal, stop for people to gather, feed it behind the hotel, and then possibly across here and back to the couplet that way, because the tram at the minute is very quiet. Everyone's preferring the highway or the metro to get back across. So let's go with that. Let's grab our tram road. We'll just go for... We will lose the industrial road, which is a bit of a shame, but I can live with it. then we want tram only road. We'll bring this straight up, and then I want the exit line to run parallel with this. Go ahead and get a nice happy curve in there. Have our trams stop this way. And then as you leave the facility, I'm probably going to have to bump this luxury hotel over a tile or two. Nice little 2x2 curve there. And then with this one here, we can pretty much have the tram rejoin the line here. And then it can continue its journey into this new downtown, which I think is going to be very tourism, casino, hotel focused right by the airport. I think that's what we'll do. And that can just go straight in. And we can now have our trams turn around this way instead. Cool, so let's create them a loop. Let's now move a new stop. Let's not forget to also upgrade this into tram road as well. Fantastic. And then let's grab that stop. You can now come over here. And then we'll have our trams stop pretty much directly outside the airport here. And then let's give them a pathway connection. We'll just do stuff like that, I think. And then we can just make it kind of a generic concrete space with a bit of apronage. Super. And that's going to be another way for people to get in and out of the airport there. How are we doing for attractiveness here now? Getting pretty close. Let's also bring in some non-parkable road. So we can bring in some multi-story action, of course, which would not be a complete airport without some parking. So probably just box them in this way, I think. And then let's grab our parking. Also, we'll grab the multi-story units. We'll have one there. Also, we can have another one right by the back of the tram stop here as well, I think. And we'll have them with the little red kind of facade on them, I think. So that should give us a pretty interesting airport frontage. It's getting quite busy out here now, isn't it? But I'm liking the way we're looking here. Okay, so we have hit the passengers for level 3. So I think I'm just going to spam down a few of the Grand Deluxe hotels. There we go. Which will give us our last section of what we need today, which is the airport train station. I deleted that one, didn't I? I did actually want that one to remain. There we go. Yeah, so yes, let's bring in that train station, shall we? So this is tremendously exciting. So let's see if we can eye this up. Probably out there, I reckon. That should do it, shouldn't it? And then let's grab the train station. Could actually go a little bit closer there, but I think we actually might be able to work that to our advantage. Because these assets look like they have entrances here. So we could create just a little apron space at the front, some potential for inner airport detail in here. Maybe even a road. I know they don't use the connections, but we can pretend at least. Which now allows us to hook in our rail, which might have to take a slightly different trajectory than what it's on right now. So I would like this to start ascending in its first section up to 3 meters. And we'll do our best here not to trigger the gradient, please. So then we'll keep it in segments of 12. And then just elevate every time until we come up to that final 9. Which hopefully isn't the worst gradient at the train police I've ever seen. So something like that hopefully isn't too offensive as it swoops down into the airport. And then that'll really serve as a bit of a barrier for our airport there as well, won't it? So I think I'd be happy with that. Otherwise, that leaves us at level 3, and at the foot, I believe, of a detailing time-lapse. So I want to spruce up all the entrance here with lots of landscaping. Yeah, key and fence work all the way around the airfield. And we'll also work in a air traffic control tower as well, I think maybe down here too. And then some apron work to tidy up the airfield and generally make things a little bit more tidy and interesting. But otherwise, let's detail up the through regional airport for Rannoch, and then we'll be right back. Okay guys, let's have a little look around the through regional airport, shall we? First of all, I absolutely love that the arterial bundle has views of the airfield here. Isn't that just a great sightline? If anything, it actually even adds to kind of the arterial bundle aesthetic of the highways, the networks, and now other method of transit of flying around, also passing over this way as well. Easily the best bit of the build there. Big fan of it. Sweeping down to the front, we have the airport headquarters building. This isn't going to stay here. I want this as part of the international complex, but we have to place it down to make some money, so it's here temporarily. Don't expect it to stay. And then we also hit the next level of hotels, which is absolutely wonderful. So we have added in the City Hotel here as well, alongside plenty of hotels DLCs. There's one here, there's one on the corner, there's a couple tucked away in this spot. So really managing to cram in the hotels around here. Changed the positioning of these hotels as well, and decided to leave the metro station in here. It's getting plenty of usage, and I thought it'd make a lot of sense to be able to stop off outside this area without having to pass through essentially airport security just to use the metro. So I thought it made sense even though they are very close. Despite that fact, they are both getting decent use. There's 158 here, and there's 153 here. This one does get pretty busy though, especially when some flights arrive in. I've seen 400 here during the time lapse, so they're both getting use, which is nice. Heading down the front, we have some commercial and office space dotted all up and down the main couplet now, as this will continue to grow into what is essentially going to be a bit of a secondary high-density downtown area. Lots of tourism and casinos and hotels along this coastline nearby to the airport, I think. Bit of a Atlantic City kind of area, I think, which is a great suggestion we had last episode as well. But we'll look at that another episode, of course. Heading in, we'll notice office space, detailing with bushes, trees, lots of taxi stands knocking around the whole complex. Our trams come through into a little tram stop area. They're pretty quiet at the minute. I'm banking on them becoming significantly busier once something over here exists and the trams flow into that, but that's obviously not there yet. I think everyone, the AI, the Sims, are just preferring to use the metro. As I say that, someone stops and waits for the tram. Of course they do. But yeah, the AI easily preferring the metro as a high-speed route to get back into Rannoch from here, which absolutely would make sense. It's a lot faster transport than the tram is. And then the trains are slowly trickling in. Of course, it's just an intercity line at the minute. We're not bringing any passenger trains over here. I think we'll wait to see what happens with this waterfront before we decide to bring any internal train lines over. But they're getting use either way regardless. Here comes an intercity train right now. Splendid news. See how many people get off here. Not a lot. So metro, definitely the way to get out here. On this little awkward corner of the airport, decided to make it a bit of a airport admin area. There's recycling centres, taxi depots, bit of industrial zoning, and some warehouses over here, which are then tied into the airfield with this little concrete wrap around the concourse, which then has all of its airport aprons down, numerous airport lounges here overlooking the airfield, some classic pathway designs around the runways just to kind of help mark up those airfields, and then some airport apron and air control tower action right at the end of the pier here. You can see, there we go, you can just sort of get a view of it here as those planes come down into land. Isn't that just so cool? I felt like they fly over this. There you go, there's two of them. So they're flying right over the roads there. Real cool approach into the airport. And then they take off on a pretty sensible pattern as well. They're not kind of up and then shooting off to the right. They generally head in this sort of direction. So I'm pretty happy with that. Over this side, we have some table detailing in and around some more taxi stands in with those multi-story car parks here as well. More office zoning and hotels along this area. Before we arrive at a little office park with some services, fire and police around here too, with some parking in some awkward spaces behind that just to fill it up. And it's left was with a really wonderful airport complex, one of my favourite little regional ones. I think we're just about in the realm of regional. I know Orchid Bay's regional airport was pretty massive, but I think we've managed to scale it down here. But I guess really at the end of the day, it depends how big the region is, doesn't it? Well, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Massive shout out to the patrons that support the channel with a special roll call to Andrew Perez and O'Hay Casino. Thank you all your support, legends. If you want to get involved in that, Save games, early access, podcasts, and much more egg is available on the Patreon if you're interested. But I'm really happy with this. I always love building airports, and it's a real transport gem converging with train, metro, trams, and taxis all running through here. And imagine buses at some point one day, once we have a bit more of a local area around here to send those buses to. We probably could have also brought underground metro over here as well, but I think we'll address that when we come to build the tourism waterfront and factor the underground stations in more against there, rather than here at the airport, since it essentially has already 2 metro stops within the immediate vicinity. But please do enjoy some cinematics of this waterfront airport today. I'm sure it will fit really nicely in against this shoreline. But I'll shut up and leave it there. I just thank you all so much again for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.